r/AskREddit by Reddify. What is the best way to start a conversation with a stranger? I see you're drinking 1%. Is that cause you think you're fat? Cause you're not. You could be drinking whole. Napoleon Dynamite is basically a tutorial film. Tutorial for what exactly? How to get like 3 feet of air off of a sweet jump, or how to correctly store tots. I fly a lot, and I've found that picking up a newspaper and doing the crossword with whoever is next to you works wonders. Does not work well if you're sitting next to infants. 3 down. 4 letters. Pop singer. Duets with Tony Bennett. Gaga. Wow, you're good at this. 12 across. 6 letters. 80s 90s zeros rock band dolls. Goo goo. Amazing. Edited for all you sticklers. I didn't know anything about them off the top of my head other than their name, so I just looked them up and saw that they were formed in the 80s. You got the joke, so I don't know why it really matters, but now it's fixed. 1 across. 3 letters. Colloquial term of endearment for one's romantic partner. B. We make a great team. 1 down. 4 letters. Children's song. Black Sheep first letter B. Baby. You're pure genius baby doctor. Okay. Smarty pants. 23 across. 6 letters. A guitar pedal that mimics a voice. Wah wah. Of course. Spill their drink and blame them for it. This usually leads to a highly energetic conversation. Gravity and absorption get people talking. In the UK, just say anything about the weather. Did you see that ludicrous weather last night? Edit. Did you go into shock when you saw that ludicrous increase in karma last night? That's the thing about London, always tries to fog you in. What was London thinking? Sending hail in that early? Oh look, the sky is lighting up. And apparently that deserves a round of applause. The sky is lighting up. Doesn't sound like the UK. It's difficult just to walk up to someone and start a conversation. Most people aren't open to that. But I find usually the most seamless way to start talking to a stranger is through complaining about a shared current event. That is, professor's late, the exam you're walking out of was too hard, long lines, etc. Bloody long A? Yeah, is how I imagine that working. Bloody long A? Yeah man, like usual. They really should open up more lines, emo. That's what I always say. Like this one time when did your mind just wander off? Like in Scrubs or Family Guy, and the other person has to stand there in silence until your daydream is over? Man, zebras are crazy. Walks away. We are gonna need a lot of gnomes. Titanic. Excuse me? I know. Not a very good icebreaker. How much does a polar bear weigh? How much? I don't know, or I wouldn't have fucking asked you the question. This matter is urgent, and I need to know the weight of a polar bear or a lot of people are going to die. African or European? Oh, I don't know. Launch. How do you know so much about polar bears? You have to know these things when you're a king, you know. Did you see the shirtless guy riding a horse outside? That one never seems to work out well for those involved. It's all fun and games until the suicide pact. Black Mirror reference was being made. Yes, all the way to the suicide pact. Well met. The light shall burn you. I will crush you. You face Jiraxxus. Erida, Lord of the Burning Legion. Jiraxxuses. Sorry. Walk up to them and press E. Instructions unclear. Did a melee attack? He doesn't want to talk. He is trying to kill me. Use console. Reset character. Opens inventory. No. You press the button to the left of inventory. Press and hold R2. You guys want to start a conversation? I'd like to have an argument. Please. You guys want to start a conversation? I'd like to have an argument. Please. The internet in 2 sentences. You forgot the porn. Can you use a counterweight to launch a 90 kilogram projectile over 300 meters? Trebuchets. Mate. I feel out of the loop. Why am I seeing this everywhere? You have 2 eyes used for sensory input in the form of light. As Demerit Martin would say, a good way to start a conversation is what's your favorite color. A good way to end a conversation is what's your favorite color of person. Ah. Demerit Martin. No matter what he does, He keeps getting points against him, poor fella. You should meet his brother. Decidulation Martin. The much softened and less cruel offspring of his father, Flagellation Martin. Or his unfortunate uncle Defensitration Martin. I think I know you. Pornhub? Lol. I work at Pornhub. I can use this all the time. So I assume you know /u/Katie Pornhub? Biblically? No. Just in a normal way. And hey, you're not /u/Hather actually. I can be whoever you want me to be, baby. Start with something happening or visible around you. It feels natural to the situation, and seems like two strangers talking about something around them. Going with a generic conversation starter, a propos of nothing makes you seem kinda weird. Pointing to something and making a comment about it might draw them in a little more. Easy mode when traveling. Where you going? Hard mode. See that tall quiet guy with the dark shades? You think he's a spy or a serial killer? That's my blind uncle, you asshole. And he isn't a serial killer. Wait, why'd you emphasize serial? It was one time and he didn't mean it. Okay. That and he's a serial killer. So that honey beef or Cheerios. Dead. If you are enjoying the video, please give a thumbs up and leave a comment. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's just an inverted triangle plan. Lem just invert that inverted triangle for you. Gasp, it is a pyramid scheme. When anybody starts idle chit-chat with me out of the blue, I prepare myself mentally to be either invited to their church, pitched Amway or some such hit, or asked for money. It never fails. When I went to Mardi Gras, there are tons of Jesus people walking the streets trying to convert you from your life of immoral sins. I honestly wonder what their success ratio is. Anyway, it's great fun to walk up to people with a straight face and ask if they want to talk about Jesus. Give it a second for the awkward silence to kick in, and say, no, I'm just kidding. Wanna do a shot? I'm doing this next time I go to a bar. Just let the people drink in peace. Merrimal. What up, Margaret Glop? Man, I'd squanch you, dick man. Did you see that ludicrous display last night? What's Wenger doing sending Walcott on that early? The thing about Arsenal is, they always try and walk it in. Arsenal didn't even play last night. Doesn't matter. Still up voting. Syog. Come you on Gooners. I like how 75% of these replies are sarcastic, because it's Reddit and our lives are sad. Lonesome piles of isolationist. Hi there. I'm working on becoming a more adept conversationalist, and I was wondering if you might be able to help me out. I recently read a thread on the popular website Reddit about the best ways to start a conversation with a stranger. I've printed out all the suggestions that people made, and I'd like to read them to you now. There are quite a few, so I think it's best we get started. I would ask that you please respond to each suggestion with a grade between 1 and 10 based upon how effective an icebreaker you perceive it to be, with 1 being the lowest possible grade and 10 being the highest. Besides 1 and 10, you are free to select 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. I cannot accept 0, nor any sort of fraction. You may convey your grade to me either by holding up the appropriate number of fingers, or by tapping one of your feet between 1 and 10 times. If you feel you've made a mistake while tapping your chosen foot, you may tap the other foot to let me know, and I will then begin the count again starting at 1. Just, please, whatever happens, do not attempt to speak to me. I would ask that you please respond to each suggestion with a grade between 1 and 10. 2 grades are needed with and without rice. It's been said that the key to charisma is conversation. Knowing how to engage with someone, make them feel appreciated, and come across as being equally interesting is a subtle and complex process, but as with anything, it can be distilled down to a few basic strategies. Granted, there's no magic bullet that will make you the master of every interaction, but there are a few tactics that will put you on the right track in order to apply those rules to conversing with a stranger. Though, we need to go through the basics. Look for the root of any exchange, rather than focusing solely on the details. Humans are remarkably indirect creatures. When we communicate with one another, we each have our own internal desires and motivations. Meaning that a question as seemingly mundane as "what did you do this weekend?" might actually be a precursor to a murder confession. As such, while it's important to take people at their word and their words at face value, you'll come across as being attentive and engaging if you learn to recognize what your conversational partner hopes to achieve, then help to guide the dialogue in that direction. Example: "Hey, I still have to take you out for lunch sometime, don't I?" Bad response: "No, you don't owe me anything." Better response: "Sure, but I'd rather split the bill." Good response: "You don't need to treat me to it, but I'd love your company." The way in which something is said is often more important than the words themselves. Body language, tone of voice, and the apparent thoughtfulness of responses all play enormous roles in how people perceive one another. A person who comes across as being warm, positive, and understanding will typically seem more charismatic than folks who describe themselves as bluntly honest. This doesn't mean that you should lie or hide your personal opinions, though, but rather that you should be consciously aware of how you communicate and work to foster a comfortable atmosphere. Example: "What do you think of my makeout today?" Bad response: "You look like a banshee that got trapped in a burning tire factory." Better response: "I can tell that you worked hard on it." Good response: "Your natural beauty is what makes it really stand out." Common ground and equal footing put most people at ease. It can be difficult to strike up a conversation with a complete stranger. After all, sometimes it seems like that first sentence has to include a mutual point of interest, a reason for the interaction, and an evident avenue for continuing the exchange, and that all of those need to avoid the pitfalls of sounding awkward or boring. Fortunately, humans are remarkably skilled at pattern recognition, meaning that we can typically recognize topics within 2 degrees of separation from whatever is currently on our minds. Using that to your advantage will not only increase your options for furthering a dialogue, but will also allow your partner the same leeway. Bad example: "You smell like fruit." Better example: "I'm sorry to bother you, but that perfume is amazing." Good example: "Hey, what scent is that you're wearing? It reminds me of baking with my grandmother." Response: "I have a boyfriend." Now, this isn't a comprehensive list, and each example has the potential to be ineffective if the situation is wrong. In general, though, considering these sorts of things will help you develop an intuitive and inviting demeanor, which will pave the way for more meaningful interactions. After all, if conversation is the cornerstone to charisma, then consideration is the crux of conversation. TL Doctor, learn to be charismatic, and conversation will come on its own. Does my bum look big in this? Me, yes. It just naturally stands out. Also, you smell like my grandmother, and you look like a banshee trapped in a tire fire, and you owe me lunch, you fuck. I have a boyfriend. Titanic. Leave an easy out. If you force a conversation on a stranger, they will get uncomfortable. If you bring up something light, or in a way that allows them to give a simple polite answer and then move on without it continuing, it lets them choose to continue the conversation on their terms. Lets them decide to chat, instead of you forcing it on them. Casual and light. Don't stare them down. It's okay to show interest, but don't be crazy over-edger. "Hey there. So what's your solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict?" Oh god. This is why I hate going out without my earbuds. Well, see, the problem is, they should. Dies. Worse still, I've had a person try to keep a conversation going despite me putting in my earbuds as soon as there was some sort of a pause. She even talked while I had them and I'd take them out to hear what she's saying, only to put them back in half a minute later. We were on a bus. She reached to get something out of the bag, and I put the earbuds on. By the end of a 1-hour journey I knew what her family is like, what she's into, what sports her brothers are playing, and what course she's doing in uni. We didn't know each other's names. She didn't figure out I'm foreign nor that I really wasn't interested in having a conversation. I'm pretty much the definition of an introvert, and conversations, especially with strangers, are fairly draining. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.